The night does not wait for mercy. Snow tears sideways through the forest, sharp as broken glass, stinging Lyra's face, blinding her, slowing her, but never enough to stop her. She runs anyway. She has to. Her boots slide on ice-slick roots. Her breath rips out of her chest in ragged bursts. Every step sends fire through the wound at her side, warm blood soaking into frozen fabric, freezing there, heavy and stiff. Her lungs burn like they're filled with smoke instead of air. The wind screams through the trees, loud and unforgiving, like the voices that chased her out, like judgment, like rejection given shape and sound. She tastes blood, copper and salt. It coats her tongue, sharp and familiar. Her heart slams so hard it hurts. The cold crawls inside her chest, biting deeper with every breath, but beneath it, something else stirs. Heat, wrong heat, dangerous heat. Silver light flickers under her skin, just for a second. A pulse. Gone again. No, not now. The forest feels alive tonight. Trees lean in, their bare branches clawing at the sky. Snow whips against her face like it's trying to push her back, like it agrees with the ones hunting her. Ice cracks beneath her boots, sharp and loud, and she winces, waiting for the sound to give her away. The scent hits her next. Wolves, thick on the wind, wild, close. Her pulse spikes, panic sharpens into something raw and animal. She forces herself to stay human, and to keep the shift locked down even as her body begs for it. Power coils tight inside her chest, aching to be released, to tear free and burn. Don't shift, she tells herself, breathless, terrified. Not here, not now, or they'll know I'm more than human. A branch snaps behind her, then another. The sound of pursuit rolls through the forest, heavy footfalls, low growls, distant howls threading through the storm. Not hunting cries, judgment cries, the kind meant to corner, to punish, to erase. As she runs harder, silver light flickers again, brighter this time, bleeding through her veins like liquid fire. For a heartbeat, the ground ahead glows, ancient markings half buried in snow, clawed stones, broken symbols she doesn't recognize, but feels in her bones. Then the forest opens, too suddenly. Lyra stumbles out onto bare stone, skidding across ice-slick rock. The trees fall away behind her, and the wind howls louder, angrier. Before her rises the shattered remains of something old, an altar maybe, or a ruin long forgotten. Stone pillars cracked and leaning, runes worn smooth by time, power humming faintly in the air, like the world holding its breath. She stops short. There is nowhere left to run. Behind her, the sounds draw closer, branches breaking, breath steaming, shadows moving through the storm. Lyra stands at the edge of the ruin, bleeding, shaking, cornered, silver fire flickering beneath her skin, in a threatening to expose everything she's been hiding. And if you love stories where power is feared before it's understood, welcome to Wide Moon Narratives. Subscribe, and run with us beneath the moon. The wind shifts, not louder, not stronger, just different. Lyra feels it before she sees anything, a sudden pressure in the air, like the forest itself has gone still to listen. The wolves behind her are slow. Their growls fade into low, uncertain rumbles. Even the storm seems to hesitate, and snow hanging suspended for a breath too long. Then he steps out of the darkness. He doesn't rush. He doesn't bare his teeth or raise his voice. He moves like the storm already belongs to him, measured, unhurried, deadly calm. Snow gathers on his shoulders and dark hair, but he doesn't seem to feel the cold at all. His presence cuts through the chaos like a blade through ice. Alpha. The word lands in Lyra's chest with a dull, frightened weight. His eyes lock onto her, sharp and assessing, harm the kind that miss nothing. They flick to the blood on her side, the way she favors one leg, the way her hands tremble, not from weakness but from restraint, from holding something back. Lyra, he says. Her name in his voice is not a question. Her breath stutters. No one here should know her name, not anymore, not after she ran. She tightens her jaw, forcing herself not to step back. Running got her here. Running always ends the same way. You shouldn't be this far north, he continues, and voice low even, not cruel, not kind either. These lands don't forgive trespassers. Behind him, shapes shift in the trees. Wolves, big ones, watching him, not her. He lifts one hand, not a command, just a subtle motion. The wolves freeze. Some lower their heads. Others hesitate, claws scraping softly against ice. None advance. Power rolls off him in quiet waves, controlled, disciplined, the kind of strength that doesn't need to shout. Lyra's heart pounds harder, not from fear alone now. Something else threads through it. Awareness. Pull. She hates that she feels it. I'm not trespassing, she says, though her voice comes out rough. I'm leaving. His gaze sharpens, like he's weighing the lie and the truth inside it. You're bleeding, you're exhausted, and you're standing on sacred stone. A pause. That makes you either very stupid or very desperate. Anger sparks, hot and dangerous. The silver flame stirs again, restless under her skin. I don't need your help, she snaps. He studies her for a long moment, then nods once, as if she's passed some unseen test. Good, he says, because I'm not offering protection. That makes her blink. He steps aside, just enough to reveal a narrow path between broken pillars, half hidden by snow. An opening. Not safe. A choice. I'll give you a chance, he says quietly. Walk away on your own feet. Prove you can control what's burning inside you. His eyes meet hers again, intense, unreadable. Add or stay, and we see what you really are. Trust him, or keep running. Lyra swallows, the storm roaring in her ears, the wolves watching, the silver fire begging to be unleashed. For the first time tonight, the danger isn't just behind her, it's standing right in front of her. She chooses the path. Not because she trusts him, but because standing still feels worse than any trap he could set. They move quickly through the ruins, unslipping between fallen stone and shadowed arches where the wind can't reach them. The storm dulls to a distant roar, like the world pushed back at arm's length. Lyra keeps her hand pressed to her side, fingers slick with blood, every step measured, controlled. She refuses to limp. She refuses to show him how much it hurts. He doesn't rush her. That, somehow, unsettles her more than pursuit ever did. As they descend into the broken shelter of the mountain, her thoughts betray her. The quiet does it, the absence of teeth and howls. Memory fills the space instead. Unstable. The word echoes first. She remembers the council circle, torches flaring too bright, elders standing back as if her breath alone might burn them. The way their eyes slid past her, already decided. Dangerous, unnatural. Not Omega in the way they understood, but something warped. Something is wrong. They never asked her what the fire felt like. They never asked how hard she fought to hold it in. The silver flame had come to her young, too young. It hadn't howled or raged like the others' shifts. It burned quiet and deep, coiling around her bones, lighting her blood from the inside. A forbidden inheritance whispered about only in half-truths. A bloodline sealed away after it nearly shattered a throne. Hybrid, they called her, like it was a curse that explained everything. So they marked her. Omega, not as rank, but as a warning. She learned fast after that, learned to lower her eyes, and learned silence, learned how to take up less space so no one could accuse her of wanting more. She learned to survive alone, because needing anyone had proven too dangerous. The Alpha walks a step ahead. They keep moving once the silence settles, deeper into the mountain's ribs, where the stone narrows and the air grows still. Lyra's steps slow, not from fear now, but from memory pressing in on her chest. The dark does that to her. It makes room for things she works hard to keep buried. Unstable. She hears it the way it was spoken the first time, soft, disappointed, already final. Not shouted, worse, whispered, like a verdict meant to sound merciful. Dangerous followed soon after. Then unnatural, said with a flinch, as though naming her was enough to invite disaster. She remembers standing alone at the edge of the pack circle, the snow untouched around her feet. No one is close enough to share warmth. No one was willing to meet her eyes. The mark burned into her skin that night had not been a symbol of rank. It had been a warning carved into flesh. Omega, they called her, and stepped back as if she might explode. They never told her to leave. They didn't have to. The silver flame had already answered for her. It had surged that night, furious and frightened, lighting her veins from the inside out. Not the wild heat of a full shift, not the clean fury of a wolf. Something in between, something older. Fire threaded with moonlight, and bright and wrong and beautiful in a way that made the elders recoil. A forbidden bloodline, they said later. A mistake the packs had buried generations ago. A hybrid flame that answered to no alpha, no law. Lyra learned quickly what that meant. She learned to swallow her questions, learned to keep her hand still when the fire wanted to move. I learned that silence was safer than honesty, that surviving alone hurt less than being cast out again. Ahead of her, the alpha slows, and sensing her falter without turning, he adjusts his pace to match hers. It's a small thing, careful, intentional. He notices everything. The way she breathes through pain instead of asking for help. The way her shoulders stay squared, even when exhaustion trembles through her legs. The way she never once looks back toward the storm, as if she's already accepted there is no home waiting behind her. When they stop again, he crouches to examine a faint trail in the snow, then straightens. "You were trained," he says quietly. Not a question. Her throat tightens. "I was taught control," she replies, "because fear made them careless." He studies her profile, the tension in her jaw, the light barely contained beneath her skin. Control like that doesn't come from weakness. She doesn't answer. If she does, the words might turn into truth, and truth has never been safe. Still, something about him loosens the grip she keeps on herself. He hasn't demanded loyalty. He hasn't ordered submission. He hasn't asked her to explain what she is. He simply walks beside her as if she belongs there. And that, more than the hunt, more than the storm, makes her chest ache in a way she doesn't know how to survive. The mountain opens without warning. Stone walls fall away into a wide hollow where the storm cannot reach, and moonlight spills down from a broken ceiling high above. It washes the space in silver and shadow, soft and ancient, like a memory the world never quite forgot. Lyra slows before she means to. Her breath catches, not from pain, not from fear, but from recognition she doesn't understand. This place knows her. The ground beneath her boots is smooth, carved long ago into a wide circle. Runes spiral outward from its center, worn thin by time, yet unmistakably alive. As she steps forward, the air changes, warms, vibrates. A low hum rises from the stone, so subtle she feels it more than hears it, like a pulse answering her own. The alpha stops short behind her. He feels it too. Lyra's skin prickles. The silver flame stirs, no longer restless, curious. It slides beneath her ribs, brightening, stretching toward the runes, as if drawn by an unseen thread. The marks carved into the stone begin to glow, faint at first, then stronger, their light responding to the rhythm of her heartbeat. Fire bends, not wild, not destructive. It curves toward her like it's bowing. She swallows hard. "This isn't possible," she whispers, though the words sound thin in the vastness of the cavern. The alpha doesn't answer right away. His gaze moves over the walls, the ceiling, the symbols waking from their long sleep. "This shrine hasn't answered anyone in generations," he says at last. "Not alphas, not seers, no one." Lyra takes another step, unable to stop herself. The moment her foot crosses the inner ring, the hum deepens. Light flares along her veins, visible now, and silver fire threading through her skin like living starlight. A voice rises, not loud, not commanding, old. It comes from everywhere and nowhere at once, echoing through stone and bone alike. The one with the mark. Lyra stiffens, breath locked in her chest. The child of the flame. Images crash into her mind, crowns split in two, a throne trembling under the weight of imbalance, fire held carefully between clawed hands. A child standing alone while the world turns away. I'm too afraid to see what she could become. Her knees threaten to buckle. "No," she breathes. "You're wrong." The alpha steps closer, his presence steady, grounding. He doesn't touch her, But he's there, solid as the mountain itself. They cast me out, she says, voice breaking despite herself. They feared me. How could I be chosen for anything? The light brightens in answer, not accusing. Patient, feared before understood, the voice murmurs, bound not to rule, but to balance. The word settles heavy in her chest. Balance, not dominance, not destruction. Lyra shakes her head, tears burning her eyes. Destiny presses down on her, like the weight of the mountain above, vast and unwanted. She never asked for this power, never wanted a prophecy. She only wanted to belong somewhere without being afraid of herself. The runes continue to glow, unwavering. And for the first time, Lyra understands something that chills her deeper than the storm ever could. The world did not reject her by accident. It rejected her because it knew, long before she did, what she might become. The first roar shatters the stillness. It rips through the cavern like a blade, raw and furious, echoing off ancient stone. Lyra flinches as the runes flicker, their steady glow faltering. The Alpha turns sharply, body going taut, every line of him snapping into readiness. They are not alone anymore. Footsteps thunder from the tunnel mouth, heavy, many. Wolves spill into the cavern in a rush of fur and fury, eyes blazing golden red in the moonlight. Rival alphas at their head, shoulders squared, jaws tight with rage and certainty. Behind them, trail pack members she recognizes, and some she doesn't, faces hard with fear, with belief sharpened into something cruel. She led you here, one of them snarls, pointing at Lyra like she's a weapon already drawn. The curse wakes because of her. The word hits harder than any blow. Curse. Lyra's chest tightens. The silver flame recoils, then flares in defiance, heat flooding her veins. She forces it down, teeth clenched, heart racing. Not now, not like this. The Alpha steps in front of her without thinking, a quiet, deliberate movement that sends a ripple through the gathered wolves. You crossed sacred ground uninvited, he says, voice calm but edged with steel. Stand down. A bitter laugh cuts through the air. You protect her, another Alpha snaps. After what the elders warned us about, she is an imbalance given flesh. Murmurs spread. Agreement, fear feeding fear. Lyra feels every stare like a blade pressed to her skin. Old wounds tear open inside her. This is how it always begins. Name spoken, judgment passed, no questions asked. She doesn't belong to any pack, someone shouts. Send her away before the flame takes root. Your kind brings ruin, another voice adds, sharp and absolute. The Alpha's jaw tightens. Enough. But they're already moving. The first wolf lunges. Stone cracks beneath claws. The cavern erupts into chaos, growls, shouts, bodies colliding in flashes of fur and blood. The Alpha meets them head-on, power unleashed now, commanding, terrifying. Wolves hesitate under his gaze, instinct screaming at them to submit. Still, they come. Lyra stumbles back as a shadow slips past him, wrong-shaped, eyes too dark, movements unnatural. Shadow beasts, drawn by the fire, by her. She raises her hands instinctively, silver light flaring bright enough to blind. The runes blaze in response, shaking the cavern. Gasps ripple through the packs. See, someone yells. She's already losing control. The Alpha turns toward her, conflict written across his face. Not fear, but calculation. The weight of a crown presses down on him now, visible, crushing. An elder steps forward, voice ringing with authority. Choose, he commands. Your people, or her. The cavern holds its breath. Lyra meets the Alpha's eyes. She doesn't beg, doesn't plead. She straightens instead, pain and resolve twisting together in her chest. She's been chosen against before. She knows how this ends. She steps back, away from him, away from the shrine. If the world will burn either way, it won't be because she clung to hope too tightly. As the shadows close in and the wolves argue over her fate, Lyra makes a promise, to herself, to the fire humming beneath her skin. They will never corner her like this again. Next time, she won't run. Next time, the world will learn exactly what it tried to cast out. They don't speak as they leave the shrine behind. The mountain swallows them again, guiding them into a narrow cave where the storm's voice fades to a distant whisper. Firelight flickers against stone once the Alpha strikes a spark, small and controlled, nothing like the power he carries in his blood. The flame casts long shadows that dance but do not threaten, and safe, contained. Lyra lowers herself onto the cold rock, exhaustion finally catching her. The adrenaline drains away, leaving pain sharp and undeniable. Her side throbs. Her hands shake now that she's no longer forcing them still. He kneels in front of her without ceremony. "Let me see," he says. She hesitates, then nods once. Trust is a dangerous thing, but something about the way he waits, hands open, gaze steady, keeps her from pulling back. He cleans the wound carefully, methodically, or as if this is a language he knows well. His touch is firm, respectful. No claim, no expectation. "You didn't have to step away back there," he says quietly, eyes still on his work. She exhales. "I did. You were already being asked to choose." He stills for a moment, then continues. "I've been choosing since I was a boy." The words are simple. The weight behind them is not. "My father ruled through fear," he goes on. "He believed cruelty kept order. And it worked, until it didn't." His jaw tightens. "Every day I wonder if the line between strength and brutality is thinner than I think." Lyra watches him from beneath her lashes. This is not a confession meant to impress. It's a wound offered carefully, like something fragile. "My flame isn't destruction," she says suddenly, surprising herself. The words rush out before she can stop them. "It's restraint. It burns the hottest when I refuse to use it. It answers with balance, not rage." He looks up then, truly looks at her, and the firelight catches in his eyes. Recognition flickers there. Respect. "Is that why they feared you?" he asks. "Yes." Her voice is steady now. "Because I wouldn't break the way they wanted me to." Silence settles between them, warm instead of sharp. The fire hums softly. The silver flame beneath her skin stirs, not fighting now, but listening. Their breaths fall into the same rhythm. She's aware of how close he is. How easily she could lean forward, how dangerous that would be. He doesn't move. "I see you," he says instead, voice low, certain. "All of you." Something in her chest cracks open, not wide, just enough to let hope breathe. She tilts her head, their faces inches apart. The space between them hums with power and restraint, with everything unspoken. A near kiss hangs there, fragile and electric. Then she pulls back, just slightly. Not because she doesn't want it, because she does. And she knows, whatever comes next will demand more than either of them is ready to lose. Dawn never reaches the cave. The light that comes instead is cold and official, carried on voices that do not ask permission. Lyra wakes to the sound of boots on stone and the weight of being watched. The Alpha is already on his feet, body tense, hand half-curled, like he expects a blade to appear in it. They come in a line, elders, guards, envoys bearing the crest of the council, faces she recognizes, and faces she almost trusted. One of them steps forward, an older woman, kind once, gentle hands that had bound Lyra's wrists years ago and whispered that this was for everyone's safety. She does not look at Lyra now. "We found her," the woman says, voice steady, just as the signs foretold. The words drop like a stone into water. Ripples of fear spread. Lyra feels it before she understands it, the shift in the air, the way eyes sharpen, the way the cave seems to close in. The silver flame tightens, on sensing threat. "You brought them," Lyra whispers. The woman finally meets her gaze. There is regret there, and resolve. "We brought the truth." The council speaks as one after that. Names are recited, bloodlines exposed, the forbidden inheritance dragged into the open like a crime scene. They speak of the shrine awakening as proof, of imbalance, of the old wars they barely survived. She is not a bridge, an elder declares. She is a spark. The Alpha steps forward. Enough. But they're already turning her power against her. weaving words into weapons. They twist the prophecy, stripping it of balance and mercy until only destruction remains. Her flame will destroy us, they chant. All flames do. Lyra's hands curl at her sides. Heat surges, furious now, answering the injustice. The runes she carries in her blood flare, reacting to the lie. Stone trembles. The Alpha hesitates. Just a breath. Just long enough. It hurts more than any accusation. In that sliver of doubt, Lyra breaks, not loudly, not dramatically. Something inside her simply gives way. She steps back, away from them all, eyes bright with unshed tears and burning light. I trusted you, she says, voice shaking, not weak, wounded. The silver flame spills free, not a roar, a revelation. Light floods the cave, bending shadows into silence. The elders stagger. The council recoils. They see now what they tried to cage. Fire shaped by will, by restraint, by heartbreak. Lyra turns and runs. Not from fear. From fury she refuses to unleash here. Behind her, the Alpha calls her name. Whether in warning or devotion, she doesn't know. The mountain answers instead, groaning as ancient stone wakes. And as Lyra disappears into the storm, power blazing beneath her skin, one truth is undeniable. They did not stop the prophecy, they ignited it. The wind shrieks like a living thing as Lyra emerges from the storm. Snow bites at her face, tearing at the skin, but she doesn't slow. Every step is deliberate, carrying a rhythm that feels older than the mountain itself. She can smell it first, the acrid tang of fear, the copper of blood, and beneath it, the scent of wolves trembling at the edges of danger. The sacred ground lies in ruin. Stones cracked, runes dulled under the weight of chaos. Innocent wolves scatter, their whines and growls tangled with screams, caught between loyalty and terror. Her mate, the Alpha, stands at the center, and squared against enemies who have no idea what they're about to face. He glances at her, eyes wide, as if asking silently, "Are you ready?" Lyra doesn't answer. She doesn't need to. The silver flame, dormant no longer, ignites beneath her skin, sliding up her limbs in a rush of power that is hers and hers alone. Fire that was hidden, restrained, and feared now pulses unchecked, threading through her veins like molten silver. The runes in the ruined shrine respond instantly, humming, shaking, on awakening. Ancestors' voices rise, not in words, but in weight, in presence, in power that makes the air vibrate. The ground quakes beneath her boots. Stone fractures. Snow swirls in spirals that feel deliberate, choreographed, bending around her in reverent awe. Wolves stop where they stand, eyes widened, noses twitch. Even those who tried to hunt her now bow instinctively, recognizing her not as threat, but as authority incarnate. Enemies falter, the air thick with their disbelief, or their weapons feel futile against what they cannot understand. Her hands lift, silver fire flaring higher, reflecting off ice, stone, and blood. Lyra's voice rises, not a scream, not a plea, but a declaration. I am not your sacrifice. The Alpha shifts closer, unwavering, a tether in the storm. Together they are unstoppable. Behind her, the echoes of prophecy hum louder, confirming what she already knows. And then she sees him. The true villain, the one who manipulated council and pack alike, uncloaked in shadows and smug certainty. His eyes flick to her silver fire, and for the first time he hesitates. But she senses a presence beyond him, darker, greater. The threat looming is more than one enemy. It is a reckoning the world has long feared, now awakened. Lyra stands tall, flame coursing through her, heart synchronized with the mountain, the storm, the very air. She is no longer hunted, no longer hidden. She is the fire, the storm. I'm the balance, and the world has no choice but to reckon with her. The storm settles for a heartbeat, leaving only the hiss of melting snow and the low hum of silver flame threading through the air. Lyra stands at the center of the ruined shrine, chest heaving, hair plastered to her face with ice and sweat, eyes alight with fire that no fear, no counsel, no enemy could ever extinguish. Around her, the mountain seems to hold its breath, waiting for her next move, waiting for the world to reckon with what she has become. The Alpha stands just behind her, steady and unyielding, but he is not the center here. She is. Every nerve, every heartbeat, every surge of her power tells the story that has been denied for too long. And yet, even in triumph, doubt lingers, not hers, but the question that now hovers in the minds of those who have watched, who have judged, who have survived her awakening. Would you have chosen her, or feared her too? The wind carries it, untwisting through fractured stone and snow-drenched pines, whispering it to the scattered wolves, to the shadows at the mountain's edge, to every heart that has witnessed the impossible. She is not gentle, she is not fragile, she is fired, and fire asks for allegiance, not permission. Is she a savior, or is she the storm the world deserves? Her silver flame dances, bending light and shadow in a rhythm older than memory, and in that movement, the answer is not yet clear. But one thing is, she has claimed her power. She has refused to be hidden, to be tamed, to be sacrificed. She stands, and the world trembles in recognition. If this story lit something inside you, if the pulse of her defiance and the ache of her isolation reached into the part of you that longs for fire, then run with us. Subscribe to Wide Moon Narratives. Here, we tell tales that burn, tales that refuse to bow, tales that will not let the quiet ones remain unseen. The mountain waits. The flame waits. And somewhere deep inside, you feel it too, the pull to choose. Which side will you stand on when the world asks, as it always does, who you truly are? The fire dims, but only slightly, as Lyra steps back from the trembling altar. The air hangs heavy with the scent of ozone, scorched stone, and snow-damp pine. Wolves shift nervously, paws scraping fractured runes, ears twitching at the low hum that still thrums beneath her skin. The mountain itself seems to breathe. All groaning under weight and power it has not felt for centuries. She exhales, slow, shivering, not from cold, but from the raw pulse of energy still surging through her veins. The silver flame beneath her skin flickers like a heartbeat, steadying only when she wills it. Around her, the ruin lies in pieces, stone slabs cracked, runes scorched but alive, shadows twisting in unnatural ways. Even in victory, she feels the tension of unfinished business pressing at her shoulders, whispering that the world is never fully quiet for someone like her. The Alpha steps close, voice a rough murmur, almost lost in the wind. You did what they said no one could. He stops. Words falter, respect, awe, and something softer linger behind his gaze. But there is no relief, only anticipation, only the knowledge that this moment is fleeting. Lyra's hands fall to her sides. Her gaze sweeps the horizon, over snow-draped cliffs and jagged ruins, and she feels it, a vibration underfoot, unsubtle at first, then unmistakable. The mountain shudders again, deeper, slower, like the warning of an awakening older than any counsel or prophecy. And then the voice comes. Not from the wind, not from the wolves, but from the shadows themselves. Low, chilling, threaded with ancient intent. She is not the only one. The words hang in the air, curling through stone and snow, wrapping around her heartbeat, tugging at a fear that is familiar and exhilarating at the same time. All, the pulse beneath her skin responds, silver flame flickering higher, humming with recognition. Something waits, something older, something vast. Lyra tightens her jaw, fists curling, shoulders squaring. She is ready, but she knows this is only the beginning. The storm will not end here. The shadowed voice promises it, and the mountain trembles in agreement. The Alpha watches her, a hand half raised, caught between fear and awe, and she realizes it. The path she walks now has no turning back. The flame inside her is no longer secret. The prophecy is alive, and whatever darkness waits beyond the horizon will meet her fire. The snow swirls, the ruins sigh, and somewhere in the distance the world waits, holding its breath. This isn't over, not by a long shot, and the next battle, the one that will define all of them, is already stirring in the shadows. Lyra stood atop the shattered altar, silver flame coiling beneath her skin like a living heartbeat. The storm had passed, but the air still hummed with tension, the residue of unleashed power, the echoes of betrayal, and the promise of destiny claimed. Around her, the ruins of the shrine lay in quiet surrender, and the wolves, once fearful, once uncertain, bowed instinctively, recognizing her as something more than Alpha, more than Omega, more than legend. She was the balance no one dared believe in. The Alpha remained at her side, silent but unwavering, a tether in the chaos, a reminder that trust and love could survive even the sharpest betrayals. In his eyes, she saw acceptance, awe, and a kind of devotion that had nothing to do with duty and everything to do with seeing her fully, without fear. For the first time, Lyra felt the fragile warmth of belonging. Not imposed, not demanded, but earned and mutual. And yet, the wind carried a warning. Shadows stirred at the edges of vision. A voice, deep, ancient, on and filled with intent, whispered through the mountain, "She is not the only one." The words wrapped around her heartbeat, sparking a flicker of both fear and exhilaration. The battle was over, but the war of destiny had only just begun. Lyra lifted her head to the horizon, silver flame reflected in her eyes, and allowed herself a single, resolute thought. She would not hide. She would not bow. She would not be anyone's sacrifice. The world could challenge her, threaten her, even try to break her, but she would rise, always, as the fire she was meant to be. And somewhere deep within, the first whisper of a smile formed. Because she knew this. Power, love, and destiny are not given. They are claimed, and she had claimed them all.